Following podcast contains mature language and adult discussion.
Some feel-good music, baby. It's been a feel-good week, I gotta say. As far as the Kliq This podcast is concerned, this is Kliq This, the Kevin Nash podcast. I'm Sean. This guy's Kevin. And, you know, it's hard not to have ride a nice warm vibe when you, last Saturday night,
right.
I was talking to Kev, and he said to me on the phone, like mid-afternoon, he was like, "Man," he's like, "You know, I think you were in a bit of a hole, right? A little, you know, it was a rough patch for you regarding Tristen." And you said to me, "You're like, we got to get to that 100K, and get him this damn play button already." So he goes, "Maybe I'll send a tweet later." So I put my phone down. I'm away from it. It was almost dead, so it was on the charger in the kitchen. I was in the living room. About 3 hours later, I go to unplug my phone, and there is a symphony of amazement from everybody that works on this show, because everybody's watching this live counter on Twitter. And look at the speed of this fucking thing. That's in real time. This isn't sped up. So the comments are popping up there, you can see. And not only did we hit 100, I don't think we're like 139 as of this recording, but it just went crazy, Kev.
Yeah, it was. You know, and the thing was too is, you know, Sean and I, we talked about, you know, it's really weird having an urn in your house, because like all of my relatives and everybody, like they're all buried in cemeteries, so there's that complete departmentalization of like going to the cemetery and visiting their grave, and then that's compartmentalized, and when you get in the car and you feel shitty as you drive out, even though they got a pond full of geese and everything else, and then you drive, you know, but it's out in the country away from Detroit, so it's kind of a nice drive. But you know, and when my father died, we did that every Sunday. Went out there and brought fresh cut flowers and did that whole process. So that was like my socialization process, and grieving, and then having something to go to kind of grieve, and it was almost like as the weeks went by, you know, yeah, you knew that your dad wasn't there, but you had this Sunday kind of built in where you would go and you would grieve. And when you have an urn in your house and it sits underneath your TV in your TV room, because you want to be able to, like, I spend more time in my house in my TV room than anywhere else, besides, you know, I'm not going to sleep with an urn. But so I just, you know, I was talking to Sean, and I said, I'm talking to Sean as I'm saying this, but I'm saying this
to the audience.
For the audience. Yeah, okay. And I just said that, you know, it just seems so weird. I said it was like, you know, he wanted that plaque so bad. And I guess it's called something else, a button or whatever it's called, but he knew it as a plaque. And I remember like that one night when we wrapped up and we were starting, I think we got around 30,000 at that time, or 25 or whatever it was. And it was kind of quick. I think we got like 30,000 in the first month. And he was like, "Wow, man! Like this is gonna." Like, and in his mind, he's saying, you know, we'll have this by the end of the year. And I just knew how much that he wanted that, so I said. And you know, there were some people that had some things to say, like, "Wow, like Nash bastardized his son's death to get subscribers, and like we all watched that same thing in wonderment. It was like during the peak of gasoline prices, and I have to put premium in my Bronco, and it's got a 40-gallon tank. That's what it looked like, like, and then they'll tell you, on the pump that the limit on a credit card is 75, so you've got to have 2 credit cards to fill your truck up. Let alone, like, don't go past, like, don't let it go to 3/4 of a tank, you'll be there all day. But anyway, but you've also got to ask, the fan base and people in general, hey, can you do me a favor? And I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't think, that was my wildest dream, was it would do what it did. I thought that it would be the complete opposite, because that's how my life's been this year, that I would look at it in 3 hours and it'd be at 40,000. And I'd be like, wow, man, like, that didn't work. And then for it to be my wife and I went out to a little Italian restaurant, and I looked at it, and I didn't look at it because Steve hadn't set the counter up yet. So I looked at it, maybe it was on 70,000 or something like that, 65,000. I was like, wow, like, that was a good push. And then we finished dinner, and we got home, and I just wanted to see where it was. And when I did, then the odometer was set. And so my wife's talking to her sister, and I was like, sweetheart, you come down here. She goes, I'm talking to my sister. I said, sweetheart, could you come down here, please? I'm talking to my sister. Get the fuck down here. We might have 30 seconds before this thing pops. Like, it's going so fast. Like, it's like, no, we don't have time. I want you to see this. I want you to see, like, because I didn't know that, it would, I could later on could go back and watch it. And she got down, it was like 98,200. And from there to 100,000 was like, I think she filmed that on her phone. It was like 2 minutes. So, and it was nice for her too. It was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And the thing that really made me so happy was so many people said, like on Twitter or on our comments, here you go, T. And everything. It was for T. It wasn't. They didn't do it because Kevin Nash asked. They did it because it was for T. And I just,
Well, we had to let everyone know this was, this show was part his too. So, yeah. Upon doing that, people know that it is for him. And you know what? That symbolic play button, and let's face it, the symbolic urn beside each other. One is a reminder of one's death, but the other is a reminder of one's life now.
Exactly.
So it's a nice compliment.
As I said, if you went into somebody's house and you saw an urn and it was sitting there solo, is there a difference in perception to the person in wanting to know about that person in the urn if there just so happens to be an Oscar next to it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, exactly, right? And so I looked at it that way. It's just like, they'll look at that and it'll be like, oh, okay. Because you always have to realize that things, 10 years from now, this may not even exist. This might be the fucking phone in the bag, that you first got, your portable phone, and you plugged it into the cigarette lighter. This is what this could be, and people will have no idea what YouTube is or anything else. And
we're going to own Sirius XM radio by then. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We're going to get Elon to invest with us.
Oh, God.
And we'll program that bitch.
Hey, man, you know what? To me, he's the kind of guy I can work for, because obviously, man, when it comes down to the bottom line, doesn't matter too much.
He's a little left of center.
Yeah.
He'll go for the far-reaching ideas.
Yeah.
But so in short, we've got, if we just talk about the 100,000, we've got about 35,000 people to thank for Saturday night. So
no, we were at 35,000, weren't we?
65.
Oh, we're at 65.
We're at 65.
All right, so
then,
we had 30. So we had 35,000 to thank, and then another 35. I mean, to me, it's also that overage is always huge, because you've got another. It was basically 100. We got 100% of what we had. 100% more.
Correct.
More than 100%. Yeah. And I mean, that was, so I don't want, I mean, it's just, it's almost, it moved me into such a way that last night, when they gave the Senate seat to Warlock, that I actually felt sorry for Herschel Walker, and it came out, and I thought he did a good job on the speech. And I don't know if the country was more relieved than Herschel that he didn't win. I really, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, because I've had the treatment done. And if there's anybody out there that is a friend of Herschel Walker's, an associate of Herschel Walker's, can get this message to Herschel Walker. I still have, you'll see me sometimes, I'll stumble, bumble. And I mean, one guy said that Nash had a couple of martinis. Yeah, I probably had a couple of martinis called concussions, and probably a couple dozen. And, but I've had stem cells twice. And the first time I had stem cells was down in Columbia, BioAccelerator. And I left and came home and was gone 5 days. And when I came home, I saw my wife downstairs, caught up with her for a minute. Then I went upstairs. And T was sitting on the end of his bed, and he was playing a game. And I just interacted with him. That's all I did. I just interacted with my son, but probably for 20 minutes. And my house is not that big, even though it's 2 flights of stairs from his room down to the TV room. It wasn't like it was, a 5-minute walk. Mm-hmm. But by the time I got to the TV room and was going to sit in my chair, my wife handed me her phone, and I read it, and it was a text from T to my wife, and it said, "What the fuck did they do with Dad?" like they just brought the Stepford dad home. Like, they brought some cognitive motherfucker into the house.
You were doing a little Herschel? You were doing a little the bad air over China and the good air over the United States?
I do remember asking my son that if we came from apes, why is there still apes? I do remember actually saying that to my son. So
but they're accountants in the cages.
Herschel Walker, you need to go down and get about 400 million stem cells. I know you're a genetic freak. You probably don't have a pain on any of your joints, but man, just get the bags and let that shit go through your brain, because you can't tell me Biden ain't had it done. Because this Biden guy that's in the presidency, I mean, to me, it's like the movie Dave.
The movie
Dave.
Oh, Dave, when he's the president.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And he has the stroke, and they put the other guy up.
Kevin Kline, right?
Yeah, Kevin Kline, and Sigourney Weaver is the first lady. Not to be mistaken with the second gentleman, which we're going to get to. But so, and then the next time I went down to Chipsa in Tijuana, which is Ed's place, and Dom says he forgot about I once caught a fish this big. He's got the robotic arms.
That's right.
Great shot. Had the God, what's that actor's name? Is it Charles what's his name? He was in that movie with De Niro, Run Down or whatever it was.
Charles Grodin.
Yeah, Grodin.
Midnight Run.
I mean, yeah, and Grodin is Grodin's great in everything, but Grodin is amazing in that Dave movie. He comes in, and I just love the scene when they're doing the budget, and he says, "So let me get this right. We have $20 million in our budget to ask a consumer who's already bought an automobile if they're happy with their purchase. So that's more important than these kids have." No, Mr. President, I didn't think so. There we go. Now we take $20 million off, and he's doing it on a legal pad. And he's actually, to me, it was like one of those things where this is how I would run the White House. Really? We really need that? No, that's gone. But
Vice President Levesque, what do you think?
Yeah,
that'd be. I would film that.
Yeah,
that'd be. There's a script there. The two ex-wrestlers who, through some foible, land in the White House.
But Paul is
hijinks ensue.
Paul would be a great president.
Okay.
I don't. He just doesn't have that. I mean, you can piss him off, but not like he doesn't get pissed off like a normal dude. He just, and especially once he got where he was a senior vice president, he just couldn't. He was able to he always had control. Where the rest of us didn't. The rest of us look like stripes when we're, is that my platoon? No, here's your platoon. And it shows Candy and the rest of those guys running down the hill. Ah!
Yep.
That was the rest of the clique. But no, Paul's very, very level-headed.
Well, and I guess we should mention that there was a significant retweet of your request to a gentleman who requested that.
Yes, Mr. Khan.
Mr. Tony Khan said, "I've subscribed, and you all should too." So, shout out to Tony Khan.
Thank you, Tony. Much appreciated. I haven't had a chance to meet you. Hopefully, maybe one of these times we can sit down and break bread and just say, hey.
There was more feedback other than the 35,000 that got us over 100,000 there. B Sample said, "It is funny to me. This guy's knock on the show is exactly what I love about it." So he must have been commenting on someone else. "Is exactly what I love about it. It's not two guys with an overproduced Pete Rose in or out of the Hall of Fame every week. It feels like I'm sitting in a bar or a cafe with either a good glass of wine or some quality cannabis and shooting the shit with a friend. The format, show, content, and above all, the hosts are fantastic. Thanks, Kevin and Sean, for all you've shared through this great show. That was always the goal, brother."
Yeah, I mean, to me, when the person said, "Well, a lot of times it seems like you're lost." Well, don't have a road map, don't have a GPS, get in a car and you're blindfolded and just see if you're not lost. Because that's what we basically do. We may talk and have a thumbnail idea of what we're going to do, but I mean, it's like get in a car and drive 50 miles. Which way? Just drive 50 miles. Then I'll tell you where you're going. Oh, I'm going to Cleveland. I just drove west. Well, okay. Now you got to turn around and go the other way. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. It's just we don't know where the hell we're going. We started by saying thank you. I ended up talking 4 minutes about the movie Dave. So,
right. Yeah, that wasn't planned.
No.
Had no Kevin Klein on this format tonight.
No Kevin. And didn't even know Greg, and couldn't even pull Grode down my ass. So,
Clayton HR3, years ago when Nash was with TNA, so I'm at a bar and asked for a picture. After he took the picture, he sat down at my table and we talked for about 15 minutes. I didn't badger him with goofy wrestling questions. We had a normal conversation. He was a nice guy.
God forbid, man, somebody actually took a chance to know me. I was like the last week was like one of the comments where I always thought Nash was arrogant. And I said, I used to tell people that all the time. I said, man, there's so many people on Twitter that don't like you. And I'm like, yeah, but if they had dinner with me, then I would like to see their tweet the next day if they had dinner with me.
Yeah.
You know,
of course.
That's my whole thing. Spend some time with a human being. Like, I'm gonna go back. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse in any form or fashion, but I was a sophomore at the University of Tennessee. My girlfriend was a cheerleader, so I was sitting kind of where the cheerleaders, like the Tennessee cheerleaders, would do their routines. I was by myself. I was just watching the game, and the University of Tennessee was playing Georgia, and the University of Tennessee had a defensive back named Bill Bates. Went to Farragut High School in Knoxville.
Played for Dallas.
Played for the Dallas Cowboys. He ended up marrying my cheerleader girlfriend that I'm watching. So this is kind of a very kind of cool story. And Bates was like, Bates made the all pro on special teams.
Yeah, he
was just number 40. Bullet
fast, and he hit like a motherfucker.
And I used to get absolutely baked with him in college. And we used to play this game where we would get baked and see how many times opposite hand we could throw a tennis ball across the bed to each other. Like he was on one bed and I was on the other in the jock dorm. And the jock dorm, you had a platform bed that was 7 feet long. And there was two in a room and like little desk and but that's what the jock dorm was. But Bates, I think, lived on the third or fourth. Football players lived higher. Basketball players lived in the basement. There's Bill. So the love of my life is a girl named Denise Conrad. And I end up smacking my coach, and I get thrown out. And of course, at that point in your life, she's going to go on, and I'm going to go on. It's like the Harry Chapin song "Taxi." I went off to join the army. She went off to marry an athlete. So I come back, and I have been in the service. I've played basketball. I've destroyed my knee. I've just gotten surgery, and I'm at my mom and dad's house. And, I crutch down 2 steps to our 800 square. When my mom got remarried, my stepdad built maybe a 22 by 20 room on the back of this house. And we had a fireplace, and it was cool. But it had shag carpet. It was very, very dated. But it had wooden beams, but it had a big giant fireplace in it, and that's where the TV was. So I go down there late at night, and I turn it on, and it's a United Way commercial, and it's Bill Bates, and he says, "Hi, I'm Bill Bates," and they do a close up. He says, "Hi, I'm Denise Bates," and I guess they were having a hard time having children because they had 8, and you could tell they probably had 3 at once. You could tell it was one of I might be wrong. I didn't do any research, and it was just like this, for 6 years, I was still in love with this girl in my heart. I'm like, I wonder, it wasn't like nowadays where you could Google and find somebody. It's just like, man, if you.
Well, Christ, we can now. Steve, Bill Bates' wife.
No, don't leave Denise alone.
If they're in public, if they're on the red carpet, that's a public photo.
Pull her up. She's a year younger than me. She's going to be. She get great feet. She was a beautiful. She was beautiful. I can't imagine her not being beautiful at 60. She'd be 62. very Barbara Eden-ish.
Oh, there you go with that again.
She looked like Barbara Eden. Oh,
Couldn't get out of that wormhole.
That was my template, man.
All right, well, we'll look for that. WWEDXECW says, I had to skip right to the Christmas Without Tea segment because I was listening to everything else. I love the weekly check-ins on Kev's current state of mind. Sending you and Mrs. Nash much love. Thank you, WWEDXECW. This is kind of a social experiment in a way,
I did my my tradition. I came home last night. I worked for the I did 6 hours plus. like a 6-hour day with the WWE yesterday, and
then you had a very lucrative gig after that.
Yeah. Then I made that pittance of a payday look like chump change. Look like Elon. I looked like I did Elon Musk's laundry and I was able to keep all the loose money in the pockets, including coins. But I got home around 10:15 maybe, and I stayed up until 6:20. Because that's when tea passed on Wednesday. I've done it every week. This is 7 straight weeks. This is why I look as good as I look tonight. I almost look like I've got a mohawk, but I don't know why. I do it, and then the next thing you know, I'm in Morning Joe, and they're breaking down the districts, the Cobb County, and who voted for who, and I'm like, I get sucked into watching a little politics. And it was funny because what's the black cat's name that used to run the RNC? And he's a talking head for MSNBC now.
Let's see. He's one of the anchors. Yes?
No, he's a talking head.
Oh.
He's on Morning Joe a lot. He's on a lot of he was the Republican
Tim Scott.
He's bald. He's got glasses.
Michael Steele.
Yes,
that's it. Steele.
Michael Steele, and Michael Steele. Like everybody was really just, that's my boy.
Yeah. I got a text from you at 8:30. I was like, okay, what's wrong? I forgot it was Wednesday, and I don't know that I knew that you did that every week. Actually,
you do now.
The all-night pilgrimage there. So whatever it takes, brother.
Hey, I've yet to find the pamphlet. That tells me how I'm supposed to go through this. So.
Maki V Media 1. Sean is the best guardrail in podcast history.
Well, I don't know. What does that mean?
Long and hard? What would that be?
Means I don't touch you when like at noon when the sun's been on. You're gonna get burned.
I like the term though.
Guardrail.
Yeah. Keeping it all in the ring, right?
I didn't realize I was that bad of a driver, but this guy says so.
MGJ Craft Art. Cracks me up every time the kid giggles, saying adult discussion. That's Lana. I'll have to give her a shout out for that. Vincent Guzzi, 4848. Keen Steakhouse for the mutton chop. Yes, I think I actually did remember it.
We actually... Steve actually threw the graphic up with a guy having it in front of him.
Of the mutton chop, big as your head. It's unbelievable. It must be done again. I'm going back.
And it's not, what, I appreciate people pointing out things that we actually go back and cover because I know that not everybody can watch the whole show.
Right.
I don't find it annoying at all.
Well, it was about 8 seconds between when I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, could anybody hear the sarcasm in my voice?
It's about 8 seconds from when I couldn't think of it to when Steve found it.
By the time I was thinking, what is a mutton? And then they were there. Yeah, boom. Steve hit me with a mutton chop. It's just like I could taste it. I'm like, oh, well, I've had, it's not like I haven't had lamb chops before.
Glorious. Larry Joe, Kevin Nash seems like the type of guy that asks for directions to a building he's already in.
I don't get that one either. I read that. What the fuck does that mean? Does it mean
It's just a funny expression, isn't it? I never.
Yeah, but to me, it's either you're an idiot or you're a dick.
I think he's a dick.
You think that's
Is that a chair shot? A chair shot reference?
No. I'm saying no. But if you're in a building and you're if you're in the fucking Empire State Building and you walk up to the guy at the concierge and go, "Where's the Empire State Building?"
That's you. That's called a Nash.
That's me.
That's a verb now. Apparently, it's like an H. You do the H. You do the Nash.
At least.
Larry Joe.
You'd ask where the building is too after the summer of '92. You're trying to put together a police report.
Jake Station, Kevin Sean, you guys forgot about Pryor and Gene Wilder buddy movies. I did. They had Stir Crazy. And then I think there was another one that Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor were in. Is Stir Crazy when they were in jail?
There was two. There was a one when Wilder goes blackface.
What were the two, Steve? Stir Crazy, and then I can't remember the name of the second one. God damn it! But yes, they have to be. Oh, so I guess there's a third. See no evil, hear no evil. Okay, the third one I do not remember. Another You.
The only one I saw was Stir Crazy. So
yeah.
Yeah,
they're dressed like big chickens at one point in that. That's a very memorable. What do they call those? In a movie, the scene. The scene.
Boom.
Not a tent pole, something like that. I'll think of it.
Can you believe it? It's finally here. It's the most wonderful time of the year, unless you get stressed out about how to pay for it. SaveWithConrad.com can help you make this the best Christmas ever. You won't make a house payment for the next 2 months. That's right. Skip your next 2 house payments and use all that cash for your extra holiday expenses. And come next year, you're going to have a lower monthly payment. Don't put Christmas on a credit card. Pay your credit card debt off at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 65084, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.
So the ad-free watch-along ad-free shows watch-along was last week also. So thank you to everybody that piled in the room. We had over 100.
Especially Allison.
Allison, who did an interesting, appear and disappear thing. Yeah. And Lindsay promised us cupcakes. We're going to have to
Lindsay
cash
promised
that
us
in.
cupcakes.
Somebody was rocking your, the guy I called Conan was rocking your jackknife.
He had my cannabis.
And it was a good time all around. Everyone had a great time. All good feedback. Everything I saw was great. And they are part of the family. Part of our family.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate you guys turning out, having some fun with us. We'll do another one soon, to be announced shortly.
How professional do I look with the cube and everything today? Huh?
It's 22 episodes is all
I'm kind of square in my shot. I've got my artwork from Prague behind me.
That was stiff.
Just between us.
That's
the before 7 o'clock edition. We're gonna start taping that. We're gonna tape from 6:45. We're gonna sell it back on your old format.
That'd be great. So we all get together in here. For anyone who doesn't know what the hell we're talking, we all get together in the room, and it's everybody. It's Dom and Steve and us and Wesley sometimes, and
when T was alive, T would be.
And T, of course, was in here. And the best I could describe is it was, the first 30 minutes of the frat party before anyone shows up. So it's whatever's on anyone's mind.
It's when we're actually counting and divvying up the roofies.
Yes. Before we zoot anybody,
it's not funny. That's not funny. But that was comedic. That was,
Well, comedy was dangerous at one time. Now it's not. Now you get smacked in the face at the
Oscars.
Exactly.
I don't want to get the Kyrie Irving, so I'll shut up.
But so that's what we did. We cut up. We just kind of maniacal stream of consciousness. But what I found that it does is it puts us in, no matter what happened during the day, it gets us ready for showtime. Puts us in that place to come out and talk to all of you.
Much like Roy Scheidler does in his depiction of Bob Fosse and all that
jazz.
But he, at the time, every morning he does the thing. He goes, "It's showtime" in the mirror before he.
I 1 year for my wife is a product of the musical theater.
Yes, I know that.
So 1 year for Christmas, I got her I won on auction a typed letter from Bob Fosse. It was a rejection letter to a playwright, turning down their script, but it was on his letterhead and typed in the old literal typewriter font, and then signed at the bottom. You could smell the Chesterfields when you hold it up to your nose. It was a good film. I'm going to have to watch all that jazz again.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in ages.
Put the bug in my head.
Got it. I'll never forget. It was so. Remember when they do that open heart surgery and they crack the chest,
the sternum.
Oh man, that was one of those things. Maybe I was too young for it, or maybe the fact my dad had a heart attack. And he did have that done, but I mean, it was just like that was going to be, that would have been his option had it been, years later where they actually had cardiac procedures.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was a good series about Fosse and Gwen Verdon. I forget who put it on. Maybe Hulu a couple of years ago.
I think it was Hulu.
Check that out. Guy did a good job. Who was playing Bob? So there you go. Sam Rockwell, thank you, and Michelle Williams was great as Gwen Verdon. So, I got my hands on an old, I guess it was a WWE magazine, or maybe like a program from back in the day, and they did those those talent questionnaires, where they basically like the back page of the Playboy centerfold, where they ask their favorite XYZ, favorite this, favorite that. So I'm going to bring up, don't bring it up on the screen yet, Steve, because I'm going to ask Nash to take this questionnaire about his favorite this and that and see if it was the same as back when he was the world champion as Diesel. Okay, and see how much of this has changed over the years. If you even wrote those for real. I don't know if it was just Russo putting words in your mouth, but
no, I'm sure I wouldn't have allowed that.
Okay, so
I'd never allow anybody to, because they're not me, and they're going to sound like the person that walks in the building and asks where the building is when they're in the building.
When you're already in the building.
That's what's going to happen.
All right, here we go. Biggest thrill in life.
Birth of my son.
Now, depending on what year was Tristen born? It's 26
96.
years. Don't make me do math.
96.
What was it?
96.
So maybe
94 was winning the championship.
Okay, so Tristen probably wasn't born yet. So if he
No.
wasn't born, what would it have been?
Probably winning the WWE championship.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. There you go. Absolutely correct.
It's all real, damn it! It's all real.
If I could have done it differently, ... What would you have done differently in life?
Gosh. I don't know, man. I don't have, I'm one of those no regret guys. I mean, I don't do things like really instinct, like I kind of put thought into everything. So if I made a bad decision, it was thought out.
Gone to medical school.
Fuck.
News to you?
No, that sounds, that's perfect.
Oh, good. We could do it this way. If you could, yeah, don't scroll down yet. Best advice ever received.
Never put a 3-piece set down your throat.
And never give up.
On a 3-piece set.
Person you would most like to meet.
I know what this answer is.
You do?
Yeah, it's going to be Jesus.
It absolutely is Jesus.
And then now it would be Jesus / Bourdain. Like if I could have like a table for 3. But
same
still,
room, probably.
Still
probably
Jesus,
in the same
man.
room.
Like, I think Jesus would that would. I mean, Just wonder how much wine he could hold. He'd be great Jesus could. I bet you could pound some wine.
Because, it turns to water when he ingests it, so you could have an endless amount.
Could you imagine that? You go to like a high-end steakhouse, and the guy says, "Would you like still or bubbly water?" We'll take the still. Comes back. Would you like to see a wine list? No, we got it. Boom. Jesus turns into wine.
Hobbies.
Hobbies. I might have put reading. Watching TV.
Kind of being a couch potato.
Okay.
Favorite fast food?
It's never changed. It used to be a McDonald's cheeseburger. It's probably, but now it would be a McDonald's double.
Quarter pounder with cheese.
Quarter pound of cheese.
Beautiful. Favorite food? This hasn't changed either.
Steak.
You got it. Favorite band at the time? Now we're talking 94, right? So.
Oh man, 94. I think it whacked out. I'm sure it's some grunge band. I know Depeche Mode. Is Depeche Mode on
Yes,
there?
Depeche Mode is one. There's two you listed. Depeche Mode.
And who's this? Is it? Oh God.
What'd you say? Stone Temple Pilots? Absolutely correct.
No, that's not. I was thinking of.
Alice in Chains.
Yeah, Alice in Chains.
Favorite sport? I'm going to skip that. It's basketball. We all know that. Favorite athlete?
Now, today, it would be LeBron.
Who would it have been in 94?
No idea.
I would have went with a basketball player, but I would have been wrong. It was Cecil Fielder.
Oh yeah, 'cause he was a hoss for the Tigers.
Favorite movie?
I know what I said because it used to always be, but then like different movies have come along. But Platoon is always in my top 10. I know that Platoon was, and I can't say that there's a better movie that I enjoy more than like I watch that every time it comes on.
So top of the second column, Steve.
Scarface
Favorite
would be up there.
Actors. You did list two. Well, we saw it there. Gene Hackman and who?
Okay, I would still have Hackman, and probably now would be the second would be Jeff Bridges.
Okay, well back then you were a Mel Gibson fan.
That's before he called somebody sugar tits.
Favorite actress.
Now, I know who's on this. I know it's Demi Moore.
It is.
Because
a fine choice.
I read for the movie Striptease and I was up, and I mean I nailed it, and I found out later on that they were very interested in using me, and Vince said no way. Like you're not taking them for that long. So Ving Rhames got the part. I mean, it wasn't like he killed it, but yeah.
You've been hanging with Demi?
But Demi's great. You know what I watched the other night that I haven't watched? And it was actually with commercials. Because I was turning channels and it was just starting. And, God, and I knew I was going to bring this up and I wanted to remember the actor's name. But it was Officer and a Gentleman. Can anybody out there name who Richard Gere's father is, the actor, and another role that he was in? I'll give you a hint. Tony. I swear to God we'll get them back aces. It wasn't me, Tony. I bet it was the Diaz brothers. It was a Diaz
Robert Loggia?
Yes.
Love Loggia.
Yeah. Loggia was his dad. And so I couldn't find it. So I went to everything and looked it up, and they said, Officer Gentleman not available on this. So I went back and I watched it. And Deborah Winger was a really good actress. She had like a good run. with like that movie and Urban Cowboy, and like she had some good flicks.
I feel like I might have heard a story about her being difficult and kind of worked her way out of the business from having a reputation. If it's not her, I apologize. But I feel like this just popped up in
it seems like she vanished, right?
In a film or in something. I'll get confirmation. See, this is where people say, Sean, you don't know.
There you guys go.
I just don't want to be wrong. If Deborah's listening, she might be a fan. If it's not her, I just want to put the disclaimer out there.
Yeah.
Give her the benefit of the doubt. Listen, people love Sheiky Baby's videos, right? We've done plenty of the Kevin Nash. Let's just get the shot. Let's get the shot at least.
Yeah, let's just get the. I want to see what else is on there.
Let's see. It was your special
Secret
talent, singing like Robert Goulet. Your favorite cartoon character was Space Ghost.
That's still probably. I mean, that and Johnny Quest.
Favorite show was Seinfeld, and video game was Operation Wolf, which I do not remember.
But in actuality, I would have put Spyro, because Spyro was the first. Like that was like the first video game that like T and I ever played. It was by Insomnia, and my wife and I were separated at the time. So when I went home, I would take my son and we'd stay at this Marriott, and they had a PlayStation 1 that you could pick, $9 an hour, and he and I would play this Spyro game, like all day long, and like we would never leave the room. We'd eat room service and play Spyro for 2 days. And I'd drop him off at his mom's house or my house.
Listen, if I was a kid, best memory. I don't have to go to Disney.
Those
are the best time.
And then we were separated when I moved back to Atlanta, and I had a loft downtown that overlooked the Lenox skyline, and we had. Do you remember like when the 60-inch TVs first came out? They were rear projection.
Yeah, there was like the red, green, and blue light.
But this was the one that was like Panasonic made like the first one that had probably 720 resolution. I mean, it was like, and T and I had these matching stressless chairs that were these Scandinavian like $4,000 chairs with footstools. And his was black and mine was like dark green, and the TV sat against the back wall, so and the whole TV would roll, and then we had a king size bed against at the other end of this room, because it was an actual loft. It's a 1,378 square foot just room, and we had the chairs off to the side, so we would turn the TV this way where the chairs were. Then at nighttime, we would push the TV up closer to the bed, and then we would sit and watch cartoons, or get up in the morning and watch cartoons, And I had blackouts over these like 18-foot, and these two gay guys came in, and they built me this amazing wine rack that they welded themselves with, and they put like a beautiful piece of marble on top of it. Like they kind of came in and just decked my place out. I don't remember how I met them, but they were more than just associates. I considered them friends. I can't remember their names because I just lost touch with them. But they put these blackouts, and I rented that place for years. I only lived there for maybe a year, and then I ended up having a 15-year lease on it. And I remember Tamara said to me, because we were only split for a little while, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. But I was always within 15 minutes of T, because every day when T got home, I would always go hang out with him at wherever he was living. But it gave my wife, because I was on the road so much, it gave my wife, when we were split, gave her like a chance to hang out with her girlfriends and be somewhat human on the weekends that I was off. But like I would take T to go see The Matrix at like 12:45 at night. You know, he was like 4 years old. Like we're in this 24-hour sushi place eating sushi with Usher. You know, like, and I remember we're leaving the sushi place, and these guys are hammered. And they get like a brand new BMW, and they back up out of the place like 25 miles an hour, and so here's the pole. It's that yellow pole, and then there's another one that matches it that's like maybe 20 feet apart, and it has a chain. Well, that chain goes into a hook, and that guy backed up, and that hook caught the back of that car and basically to the door. Peeled it. Peeled it back like a can opener. Wow. To the point where he gunned it because he couldn't figure out what he was stuck on. He gunned it and it spun the back tires around. And I remember like watching it, and then I just looked down at T, and T looked at me, and he goes like this, like he just looked at me with this look like, what a fucking stupid ass.
He's like 5.
Like, yeah, like, right? Like, right, Dad? I was just like, yeah, bad. But
great memories.
Absolutely,
it's the simple stuff.
That's all you got.
No one took me for sushi at 2 a.m.
No.
But if they did, I'd fucking remember it. Listen, the Sheik is always good for a video, right? I found this clip. Now, Sheiky has been in trouble with the law here and there. This is not a stretch to imagine. So while he was in WWE, his attorney, Mickey Sherman, who's on this video, thinks it a very good idea during a promo day to allow to take the microphone and ask Khosrow's co-workers to come up and give a video testimonial to the judge about why he should show leniency for it was a misdemeanor assault charge. Now, before we do this, can you think of a worse plan if you want to engender the trust of a judge than to ask professional wrestlers to step up and give serious testimonials? Now, Kaz is great. Kaz does the poker face the whole time, standing upright like a proper gentleman, and in come, one by one, the cast of characters to address the judge. Let's get a clip of this here.
Yeah, but before you start off, I remember one time we were going through someplace in Canada, and they had just made like a seizure, and there was like some cannabis and some, I don't know what the powder was. I would imagine it was kilo like packed powder. It was back in this room, and you could see it. And so we're going through, and and this is before Interpol, So you could get away with that. You could. I remember one time. Let me finish this story, then I'll go to the other one. But so Sheik is just standing there. He's waiting in line. She goes, "Oh, Mr. Monty, maybe sample for the Sheik." Dead serious. Like maybe just while it's right there, like you haven't like put it into evidence or anything. Maybe a sample.
Mr. Mounty to the cop.
Yeah, to the guy Mr. Mounty, maybe a sample for the Sheik. Remember one time we check in, and they've got the system now. They're computerized up there. And so the guy goes, I walk up and Scott's behind me. And this is before COVID, so you can be right behind the person. Mm-hmm. And the guy says, have you ever been arrested? I said, no. He says, so you've never been arrested? I said, no, sir, I've never been arrested. And he says, hold on a second. And he hits this button, and behind him you hear, it's typing lines. And he says, well, according to this, you've been arrested 17 times. I said, oh, arrested. I thought you meant convicted.
Oh, did you say that?
Yeah, I thought you meant convicted. And so he goes down, he goes, well, you did plead NOLO to a DUI. Therefore, you have to get a minister's permit. And it was like $370 for like the 2 days I was going to be there. And I mean, I had to pop it out of my pocket and pay for it. And
a racket.
Oh, every time I went up there, man, they nailed me. Then finally, I went like, it had been over 10 years, and I had my lawyer here in Daytona Beach write like a rehabilitation letter that since I hadn't been arrested or had any alcohol convictions in 10 years, and then they dropped it. But so
what he should have done was put Lou Albano on tape.
Saying
Fred
that I don't drink.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And who would know better than Lou? So let's watch Mickey Sherman get everybody up here to talk to the judge. There are some okay ones. Like I think Arnold Skolin does a good job. But
I can see that.
Jesus Christ, the rest.
All right, we are going to do. I need quiet, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special presentation, and I need quiet, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special presentation. This is a presentation that is designed and geared to help benefit the Iron Sheik in his cause.
Is that his attorney talking?
No, that's Fink.
All right, you may look any time.
That was Finkel. This is the attorney. This is Mickey Sherman right
Okay,
here.
are we ready? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to make 2 shots now. Thank you. 1.
Thank you very much. We're here today to talk about the Sheik. Your Honor is well aware that the Sheik has been charged with assault in the 3rd degree in Bridgeport, Connecticut. We've got some people here who know the Sheik, who work with the Sheik, and who think very well of him. Right now we have Freddie Blassie, his well-known manager.
Now the Sheik
has been
now the
charged
judge
with a crime.
thinks
I'd like
some
you to
people
tell
from the
Judge
office
Rothman
are
and the
about to walk
prosecutor
up.
What's your opinion?
Just a minute, you pencil neck geek. Don't interrupt me. Judge Rothman, let me tell you right now, I've never met a more honorable man in my life than the Iron Sheik. The man's word is better than all the money in a bank. You know what I'm talking about? And listen, Judge, you pencil neck geek, you, I'm telling you the way it is. And Sherman says you're going to be running for office soon. Listen, I'll get out there and I'll vote for you 10, 15 times if necessary, but this is my man right here, and you better do right by him, you pencil neck geek. You know what I'm talking about? Old Judgy, oh boy! Keep quiet, Sherman.
Thank you very much. Next we have Arnold Skolin.
Does Blassie think it's like a work?
What these guys are so ensconced in their own fucking world. This is my point. They are so lost. And now Kaz is playing this perfectly. He's great. All right, let's see Skolin.
Kaz looks like it's the dude from Young Rock. Doesn't even, he's not. You know what I mean? Like this isn't even Kaz. I've never seen Kaz like this. This
so calm, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is. He must be on Valium or something, right?
All right, Arnold Skolin.
How are you?
Arnold, nice to see you.
Nice seeing you. I've wrestled with Sheik many a time, and he was a tough man in that ring. But outside that ring, he's a real gentleman.
A decent man?
He's a decent man.
And you don't think he's capable of committing the crimes that he's been accused of?
No, I don't believe it at all. I know if he was in a ring wrestling him, I could see him do something like that. But not outside that ring. He's a real gentleman outside
Arnold,
that ring.
thank you very much for coming.
Absolutely
I
fine.
think next we have
Absolutely
Bobby
acceptable.
the Brain Heenan.
That's right. I've been acquainted with the Iron Sheik here, Cosgrove Vasari, for almost 15 years of a professional wrestling career. When he taught the Olympic team at the University of Minnesota, when he came over from Iran, when he started in professional wrestling. I know him from the beginning. No man has dedicated himself harder than this man in the sport of wrestling, Greco-Roman, freestyle, professional wrestling. The man is a dedicated athlete. He travels day and night all over the United States, all over the world. He's one of the busiest wrestlers in the world, and he has a language problem. He doesn't always understand things. And I think that he deserves a break. And everybody makes mistakes every now and then, and I just think he was a victim of circumstances.
You think
See,
maybe
Bobby
the
would have been a
language
great
problem
lawyer,
had something
right?
to do with the incident?
Well, of
Maybe
course
it was a
does.
misunderstanding?
That's what I would say. I know he has a lot of trouble with referees, has a lot of trouble with opponents. He has no trouble with judges. He has no trouble with Bobby the Brain Heenan. So try to be a fair guy. Give him a break. I think it's the fair thing to do. And if you do, Judge, I'll make sure 10, 15, 20 people vote for you. How about that, pal?
Thank you very much. And, of course, Lou Albano.
Oh,
what else can you say?
Judge, the only thing I can say is I know Cosgrove over Sheik for some 15 years. He has set a fine example. As rough and as tough as he is, he has gone with the youth. He showed people how to wrestle. He's a silver medalist in the Olympics. He's got it all together. In my book and in your book and the book of the people, this is a man that is a family man, has 3 children, has integrity, has decency, has honor. Yes, he's rough. Yes, he's tough. Yes, he's wild at times, but misunderstood. He does not speak the language. He does not understand the language. He can be misinterpreted. He can mispermeated, misdebulated, missubulated. But the man is one of a kind, often imitated. But now, Judge, just a minute. I don't care about your election. I don't care what you're running for, because you ain't bothering me. But I'm going to tell you, with all honesty and decency and integrity, this man is one of a kind. I respect him as a human being. He wrestles rough, he wrestles tough, he's unbelievable, never matched. But he's a good, compassionate human being, a family man. Listen to me. Give him a
Zoom on the abs.
But God bless you. Thank you. But what?
Sir, you dropped the rubber band on the
Do I feel
stand.
strong? Yes, very strongly, because I know he's misunderstood, misinterpreted, and he's a good man. If he weren't good, I wouldn't stand up for him.
Thank you very
much. And I'm the captain. You got it? Judge?
All right, I think I've made my
And
point
lastly,
here.
of course, Mean Gene.
Well, Gene does a good job.
Mr. Sherman, if I may, I would like to just expostulate momentarily on the virtues of this very fine gentleman to your immediate left, Cosgrove Vasari, is known as Sheik al-Lahani, or the Iron Sheik in his country. In 1968 in Mexico City, I happened to be covering the games for NBC television, and it was at that time that I met this tremendous gentleman, of course, representing his country at that time. Later, as a matter of fact, I happen to be the best man in his wedding. He has a lovely family. He's married to a very attractive Scandinavian girl from up in Minnesota. Judge, this guy is first class all the way. Granted, he does have problems from time to time with the language, but certainly you can understand that. And Judge Rotman, I've always been a big proponent of yours in all of the things that you've been doing in this part of the country, and hopefully you'll take this man into consideration when you have to put the gavel down and close up shop. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's
Great job, Gene. Very good.
So what you got to do is you got to put Bobby and you got to cut the. Those guys couldn't get out of their own way. They were so entrenched in their gimmick.
Yes.
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
That's why, like Matt, Matt Borne's dad. So Matt was like, these second generation guys. They must have looked at guys like me like, you should have never been broke in.
Should not have been broken in.
Actually, you came out of character once. Like, wow, sorry.
That's a very memorable moment you had talking about Matt Borne. I ran into, this is a true story, a pipe fitter today who was doing a job and saw me and said, you're the Kevin Nash podcast guy. Yes. And so he talked about you a little, and he said his favorite moment of yours was when you, I'm going to get the quote wrong, but it was from our video when we showed you Matt Borne saying that you should never have been broken in. And you, I think you did a tally on the amount that of the items being worn, and it was a worn Mets cap and a dirty sweater, I think you went on to say. So that's out there as the pipe fitter I met today's favorite moment. My favorite moment is when I get up in the morning and I have some athletic greens, some AG1. And our next partner is a product, AG1, that I literally use every day. I started taking it for stomach health. I was having some stomach issues. I'd taken stuff before. I'd taken supplements before. The pill form on stuff, the 4 pills in the morning. This is tremendous. I get up, I pour it into the excellent container they give me, the water bottle there. I put it on about 8. I do about 10 ounces of water. Tastes very good. That was always the first thing for me. What does it taste like? I'm sure I'm getting benefits from supplements, but the taste is so important, and it makes it a very easy daily ritual for me. Then I drill down to see what I'm actually getting. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens, helps you start your day right. This blend of ingredients supports your gut health, like mine, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It does make a difference if I forget my AG1 in the morning, and it does not happen often, but I notice when it happens. Sustainable routines are key, And AG1 has become a daily micro habit for me. It takes 2 minutes. And I do it before my tea, and then I get rocking. It makes it easy to absorb all these nutrients, lead a healthy lifestyle, and feel my best no matter what the day holds. 1 scoop, 1 minute, once a day, every day. Okay? Now, right now, I want you to reclaim your health, arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Okay? 1 scoop into a cup of water, and you're ready to rock. So to make it easy, Athletic Greens are going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Kliq, Kliq. If you're watching this, look right down there, right over there, Kliq. All right? And take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional journals. So thank you, Athletic Greens. So this is going to get us into our stiff one of the week, okay?
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When you first got the Athletic Greens, were you lazy like me and did the 5 packets first?
No, I did
I did the 5 packets first, so I didn't have to measure anything.
I did the canister.
That's how lazy. Yeah, that's how lazy
I literally wanted to save the packets for when I go down to Florida and stuff. But I went through the canister, and then I just moved on to the packets before I got the next shipment. So, no, but I see what you're saying, though. No, I was very good. I did my scoop every morning. I felt that was sufficient exercise. You know, you work your arms every day, so I work my arms.
Once I find a supplement that works, I always make sure that I have an abundance.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have 1 canister. Like, I always keep, like, there's, you know, like now when I order that, I order 2 at a time, and I still have half. So when it comes, I've always got a backup one.
Yeah.
Because that way, when you go on the road, you can take the half one, you know, in case somebody bogeys it out of your bag or something like that. But
I really love it. It's a very, very tasty, easy supplement to take. I'm very, very happy that they're with us here.
I'm such a supplement freak. It's just like if I can find something that's especially something that's a whole food product. You know, I mean, I don't really call that a supplement. I call that. I mean,
that's true, right?
You know, it's not. I mean, yes, it supplements your daily income, but it's actually a whole food product.
Very good. So the stiff one of the week, I'm kind of in this. I'm in this place now, Kev, with the promo outtakes, right? Last couple of weeks. So maybe we'll finish it off with this one, maybe, and then we'll get back to some more traditional stiff ones. But this is again Mean Gene. Last week we had, I think, Mean Gene with Kamala for missing some promos. So this is Mean Gene giving Greg the business when Greg Valentine laughs and blows the promo. So this is promoing an upcoming match against Tito Santana.
Fans, stay tuned. More exciting World Wrestling
I guess
Federation
this is Greg's wife in this,
just a moment or two. By the way, next Thursday, have a happy Thanksgiving. Birmingham, Jefferson. Wednesday night, November the 28th, World Wrestling Federation at its very best, including an Intercontinental title defense for my guest at this time, Greg the Hammer Valentine. The challenger will be Tito Santana.
Tito Santana.
Greg, come back here. Come back here. Greg, you may laugh about Tito Santana, but Greg, come back here. Come back here. This man is serious. Greg, you come in here, you shout, you rave, you just go on and on and on. Julie, please, if you'd come on in here. I want to know, if you sit across from each other at the dinner table, does this guy sit and yell? Does he pass the fucking potatoes?
Certainly the hell does.
That's what I thought.
How great was Gene?
I mean, that's what makes TV bearable. Like having somebody like Gene there, and you're doing something as you know, and people don't realize, like, we used to do like market specifics, and if you had if you were the IC champion or the world champion, you did, you know, they give you the date, the building, the town, your opponent. Next, May 27th in Albany at the Pepsi Center. I can't wait to get my hands on you, Sid. Da, 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 da. And you go through like all of those, and then they think, okay, now the ones with Jeff Jarrett. And then you do, and a week from tonight, okay, night of, I'll see you tonight. And I was just like, you would have 90 of those.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, oh my, and somebody like Gene that would like, at 2 a.m, when you just fucking had enough, and Gene would just, he'd know it, and he'd pull one of those things and get everybody to laugh. It's like if you've ever been on a low-budget film and they bring pizza and they feed the crew who hasn't eaten in like 6 hours, and they get like 2 more hours of shooting that they never would have gotten, from this crew had they not had, some greasy slice of pepperoni pizza in the middle of some desert.
Enough to get you over the edge. Just
Taft,
through.
Out in Taft, California somewhere.
Get plenty of those in film school and beyond. All right, Florida man or Jersey guy. 2 headlines. Hour and 14 minutes, and we're getting to Jersey guy and Florida man. Here's the first 2 real headlines, by the way, if this is the first time they're playing along with Kevin. One from a Florida man and one from a Jersey guy, and Kev's going to tell me which is which. All right, first one. Man dressed as Elf arrested for DWI. And man arrested stealing from Walmart during the Shop with a Cop fundraiser event.
Florida.
B was Florida? He's good at it, folks. Yes, let's go to New Jersey first.
As soon as you said Walmart, I immediately just, I felt the humidity of walking across the parking lot.
Well, in Riverdale, up here in Jersey, a man dressed as Santa's little helpers found himself in trouble. No, that would be Gene. There he is. Friday morning, when Riverdale police allegedly discovered him drunkenly passed out in a car around 3:30 a.m., Sergeant Pat Harden was dispatched to the parking lot of a Target on Route 23 after receiving a report of a suspicious vehicle. And there inside was a friggin' elf, for God's sakes. And then, down to Target here. So apparently there's an event called Shop with a Cop where there were 40 police officers in the store shopping with people for the holiday, and that's when this dick decides he's gonna rob the joint. So let's see. Brad was arrested at a St. Cloud Walmart after trying to steal items. At the same time, about 40 deputies were inside as part of a Shop with a Cop event. Classic Florida man right there, boy. Very good.
Yeah, that was a no-brainer.
Yeah, what was it? How do you get it every week? It was just the Walmart reference that...
No, just, number one, it's too hot 90% of the time to be in an elf's costume. That's like it was warm today. Like, you couldn't have worn an elf's outfit around today. You would have cracked your ass. Would have been like a river.
That's a good point. But I think those that wear elf costumes all day long probably aren't of the mental capacity to consider things like that. But listen, who's going to argue with success? You add to your impressive record once again.
I was wrong last weekend.
Last week, but that was only like 2, right? That was like the second one out of 23. So that's not a bit. If you were an MMA fighter and you were 23-2.
No, I think I forgot to ask if I was in the building when I was in the building last week. So
that's what happened.
And you in no way guardrailed me.
I didn't guardrail you. I know. I didn't keep you on the road, brother.
You didn't guardrail me correctly, so I take no blame for that.
But let me tell you what
pencil neck geek.
I'm going to guardrail you and put you on the right track when I talk to you about FITBOD, okay? Before we move on, I have got to talk to you about my favorite app here, FITBOD. Building a workout routine. I'm not an expert in this. I'm not an athlete. I played a little basketball in grade school. I was a point guard up until I got to high school, and I was not growing anymore. So that was the end of that. But developing a workout routine now, there are advancements all the time in fitness, and to stay on top of what I would have to do to achieve my goals, I use FITBOD. Okay. First thing I love about it, I can use existing equipment, okay? I do not have to go buy anything, okay? I'm just putting in what I have, so I'm working with what I have. It is very simple. It shouldn't be complicated, right? This should be incentive for guys like me, gals like me, who don't work out all the time. We got to make it easy, okay? So we want to have a workout routine that adapts as I improve, all by itself, and that's the beauty of this app, okay? You set your goals, and FitBod's algorithm, it changes, it updates your fitness plan as you go. So this is my professional bodybuilder and fitness guru's brain that I get to have in my phone. And my God, it costs less than a session for a trainer. Probably less than a year. A year of FitBod is probably less than one session of a trainer, I would have to say. But add your equipment in the app. Pick a fitness goal. FitBod is going to create the routine for you. Okay, so whether you've been missing the gym or you just hit a plateau in your workout, a fresh start has never been easier. Okay, the app switches up your exercises to avoid overtraining and burnout, and your program changes based on your personal progress for maximized results. Okay, so here's what I want you to do: join FitBod today and build a routine that grows with you without slimming down your wallet. And we're going to give you 25% off your subscription, okay? Go to the link in the description if you're looking on your phone, or just go to fitbod.me/Kliq, Kliq. That's FitBod, FITBOD.me/Kliq, and get that 25% off your subscription. Kev, we were talking today about
25%, Sapp.
That's tremendous. So thank you for that, Kevin, for making that arrangement for everybody. We were talking today about contracts.
Yes.
In sports, not wrestling. We're talking about baseball, actually. And
well, the big boy got $360 million today.
You believe that? I remember when Shaq signed for 40. It was 8 years, $40 million in 92.
No, it was 8 years for 140.
Are you sure? His first contract with Orlando.
No, that one, yeah, but it wasn't 8 because he only played like 4 seasons.
Then it was maybe it was 5 for 40, and it was $8 million a year. The number $40 million. I just remember being floored by the number.
I remember when like Juwan Howard was like Juwan Howard got 110. Garnett got 120, and then when Shaq moved to the Lakers, Jerry West said, I can't give you 160, but I can give you 140. And Shaq got 140 when he first walked in with the Lakers.
Yeah.
There's on HBO right now, on HBO Max, every Wednesday, so tonight will be the 3rd episode. They drop a thing, and it's like a docuseries on Shaq. Like Shaq's sister's like 6'3", his brother's like 6', like they're like big. Everybody's big. I really personally think Shaq's like a class act and a smart businessman. Like I saw a thing the other day on Instagram where he was just standing there and this little kid came up and he was in a group of people, but he was on the outside and of the group, and this little kid came up and hugged Shaq by his leg, and you could see Shaq look down, and as he was walking away, the kid looked back, and Shaq said, "No, come here, man." And he just stopped what he was doing, and he just held the kid so the parents could take a picture of him with the kid, and then he just kind of tapped him on his butt, or tapped him or whatever, just said something to him, and the kid went off, and he continued his But it was just so that it wasn't for show.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't know that there was another camera on him, you know. And I just looked at that and I said, that's just somebody that just got kind gene in him.
Yeah. He went to school here in Jersey. I don't know if they cover that in the.
He ended up, I think he went to his final high school was in Dallas, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, he moved, but his early high school years were here in either Newark or Jersey City. But
it was Newark.
It wasn't Newark. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely Newark.
But what we were talking about after that was how these franchises get this morality clause into contracts now. And, I mean, you could have the discussion, what is morality, right? So it's basically their escape hatch. If anything hits the paper, right? And, of course, we'd be foolish to think it doesn't correlate with how you're doing on that team. Do we need an escape hatch, or will we weather the storm with you, Kobe? Will we stand behind you, Kobe? Or, you know, if it's someone riding the pine, it's a way to get out of that contract. So I want to drill down a little bit here. I went to get some information from a law firm about the morals clause, which is kind of a relatively new thing. I looked at an NFL contract from 2012, I think, and I did not see a morality clause anywhere in there.
No, you could also hit the quarterback.
You could tackle the quarterback.
You could actually touch the quarterback back then.
So VLP Law Group says the morals clause is often one of the most highly negotiated and important provisions in an endorsement deal. It allows the sponsor either to suspend or terminate a sponsorship agreement in the event that the athlete, celebrity, or other endorser violates the clause. So think of this in terms of if you get, Nike or Adidas, both of which have been in the news recently, with some of their endorsements. So behavior that is criminal, that is scandalous, or might tarnish the advertiser's brand is typically deemed to violate the morals clause. Defining what constitutes scandalous behavior can be a key issue for the advertiser, and this can often be a sticking point in sponsorship contract negotiations. The advertiser usually wants a broad definition, so it has more discretion to terminate or suspend the agreement. The athlete, celebrity, or endorser, in contrast, usually wants a much more narrow definition in order to make the relevant standard a less subjective one. From an advertiser's perspective, it is very important to define clearly what type of conduct is considered a violation of the clause, so fewer questions arise when a potential violation occurs. Was there morality language when you signed? I have a WWE contract here from 2017 that I'm going to read. But when you were there in 90, when did you sign? 93?
No. Our contract basically said you had to give them a 90-day notice. The term was for 3 years, and you're guaranteed $150 a shot for 10 shots a year.
Right.
The great $1,500 guaranteed contract.
It's now of legend. You weren't even guaranteed the cold cuts at catering.
No,
really.
that was actually a perk.
Yeah. So the morality clause and this language may stand today, but as of 2017, I pulled this when some videos of Paige got out there with her some hotel room antics. So it says, wrestler shall act at all times with due regard to public morals and conventions during the term of this agreement, if wrestler shall have committed or shall commit any act or do anything that is or shall be offensive or violation having moral turpitude under federal, state, or local laws, or which brings wrestler into public disrepute, contempt, scandal, or ridicule, or which insults or offends the community or any employee, agent, or affiliate of promoter, or of wrestler's professional wrestling services to the public, or promoter, then at the time of any such act, or any time after, promoter learns of any such act, promoter shall have the right to fine wrestler in the amount to be determined by promoter, and promoter shall have the right to immediately suspend wrestler and or terminate this agreement pursuant to Section 12.
Here's my here's my question.
Yes.
Ask the question first.
Let's go.
So when Donald Trump said that if he wanted to, he could grab by the pussy, and the evangelical white vote, the evangelical white women's vote was not in any way shook up. I mean, there was no outcry. So if that's okay, and because that to me is the far right. If that's okay, then I think that it's pretty wide open to what this society will allow.
Well, the WWE is a power far greater than the White House, as we learned there and at other times.
Absolutely.
But it harkens back to a discussion we had when you were asked to sign an agreement with WWE, which had 65 items for which you could be suspended or terminated. And the 65th was...
no reason whatsoever.
Anything we feel. So reading that, when you say scandal, embarrassment, how broad is that? What would embarrass you mightn't embarrass a member of the clergy.
If you were to be on a plane and you got stuck on a tarmac and they told you stay in your seat, and you knew you were going to piss yourself, so you got up and disobeyed, and then they pulled back on the gate and you were arrested. I mean, so you should just sit there and piss yourself? I mean, it's just, I don't know. I get what they're saying. Like, I know that when my son and I had our domestic situation.
Dust up.
Yeah, around Christmas Eve or whatever it was. I think it was Christmas Eve. And like before they even, because I was charged and arrested, I was let go. I mean, and it wasn't like anybody called me and said, "Hey, we have to do this because of this." It was, I saw it on the news that I had been fired, and I just thought, like, wow, man, like, so you can't. I don't mean enough to you as a human being for you to have somebody call me and say, "Hey, we're gonna release you. We're gonna fire you," but it's because this is the reason, because of this clause in your contract. I mean, I would have thought that was something that you would do, not just me find out. Oh, hey, Nash, did you? My phone zips off a couple of text messages. Hey, man, you got let go, huh? I'm like, wow.
But this is something beyond sports. We're going to talk about sports here a little more, but this is something that's the monster of cancel culture, where the concept of a mass turning one's back on a behavior or a person that skirted the legal system in some way and did not pay for their crimes or their actions. This is tantamount to the abuse of this thing, where an actor, where someone doesn't agree with their position on something, they become fair game. There's a committee. There's an informal committee in society that apparently decides what everybody else should be offended for.
They actually...
and takes action.
I earlier in our discussion, I made the comment I just said the second gentleman. And there was a situation in Washington, and I was watching television, and the second gentleman was making a statement. Excuse me. So I'm like, okay, I'm not really familiar with this cat, and I realized that the second gentleman is Kamala Harris's husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not putting this together. But they're talking about actually having some anti-Semitic dialogue across the aisle. And that this needs to be, this situation we've got with this Semitism just going through the roof is got to be, nipped. And I think that and this is, I'm going to sound like probably I'm mental here, but I don't get it. I don't get why. And I understand that the Jews have been hated since man's walked this planet. But I just don't get it. I don't get, okay, they have a different religious belief than I do. And they don't believe that Christ has come. But besides that, I don't understand where the hatred comes.
Well, we're in a time now, if you're different, you're disliked.
Yeah, but so you're a white supremacist. Okay, so that means that anything that's not, if you're not white, if you're not Aryan, then how about just being a supremacist? How about just thinking you're superior to everybody because that's just the way you feel, and it has nothing to do with race, color, creed, beliefs. How about I'm just I guarantee you Elon Musk is a cat that's just a supremacist. He just thinks he's superior, which I'm cool with, because you're the richest dude on earth, so you're obviously doing some shit better than I'm doing, because I'm not trying to be broke. So, but I don't see it. I don't see how somebody walks down the street and sees a black human being and thinks, they're able to judge that human on just the premise of what they see and what their brain, brings in, because that, people always say to me, so you have no problem, when it comes out, I'm like, let me tell you something. I've had black friends my whole life. And I've had white friends my whole life. I've had Oriental friends. I've had everything. I've been blessed to have a very multicultural, diverse group of friends. I have never, ever been fucked over by one of my black friends, ever. And I cannot say that for the fucking white boys. So I don't know. Maybe and that's real life. That's 63 fucking years, so.
But because it's conditioning, and that's an answer to your question before about the walking down the street. Why does someone what has happened in that person's life to condition them to that belief? Was it stuff they heard in the home? Was it personal experiences? But you know what, man? I've came across a lot of people in my life that are prejudiced, and you just, if I really want to, if I see that there's some good in them and they're just misdirected, I'll actually spend some time to see if I can't get them to realize, you just had really fucking bad parents. That's your problem is, your parents were garbage. But, if I can't touch them, then I can't be friends with it. I can't be friends with somebody that's, going to pull up at a gas station and because we're the only white people, we're not getting out of the car. No, we got to go someplace else. I'm not going. I don't live my life that way. It's just, I'm not doing it. So if you're that person, you can't be with me. That's why Scott was my dog. Scott was the same way. But that's a very obvious and cut and dry thing. Racism or sexism or any xenophobia. That's very cut and dry. There's a sub level to that, and this is what I have the problem with. For example, let's take an easy example for all of our listeners to understand. On Broadway, Leah Michele was returning to was going to be hired to be the lead in Funny Girl, and she's in there now, and she was in Glee, the TV show. So big star coming back to Broadway. So a young lady who Leah Michele must have worked with on another show begins to accuse her of being mean. Microaggressions in the dressing room and during rehearsal is what she accused her of. And there was a vocal enough contingent in the Broadway community to attempt to ostracize Leah Michele and critical of the production for bringing her back, for bringing her to the show. When was being mean enough? This is the part that really sticks in my craw. Racism, very cut and dry. We know the deleterious effects of that. You've been on X amount of productions. You've worked as a professional on camera in wrestling, so that's entertainment. There's a production schedule. Tensions are running high. There's deadlines, live television. Was everybody fucking nice that you worked for? And the sub-question is, weren't there people who probably weren't considered nice who were brilliant at their job?
You know, that's like that. I mean, we played the Christian Bale thing.
Right.
And, you know, but nobody knows, you know, they could have went from working overtime 6 days in a row and then going from a day shoot to a night shoot and being all, and he didn't get his proper sleep, and like, you don't know the it's like he's speaking the person's name when he's talking to him. Like, it's when you're on a set, like, it doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving, you can still motherfuck your uncle. You know, just because it's Thanksgiving, and I mean, it's just that's my whole thing. So, and nobody's on all the time. That's like Kyrie Irving lost. I don't know what did he lose to, I mean, in that Nike deal.
Yeah, well, I have that here.
Let me see.
11 million.
All right, and that's a season, though, right?
Yeah.
11 million a year. And I think he had a $40 million contract or something like that.
Actually, I should say that was his last completed season with Nike was 11 million. So the future might have been even more the next season. All right, the holidays are finally here. We get to stuff our faces, eat like there's no tomorrow, and shop the best gifts of the entire year. And I know the must-have tool to cook your meals, and guess what? It also makes the perfect gift. I'm talking about Meter. It's the slickest smart meat thermometer that tracks the temperature of your meat and lets you know when it's ready to come out of the oven or grill. This way you never undercook or overcook that juicy prime rib or roast chicken. It is on the money every time because of this device and the app. It's all about the app, baby. The app estimates how long your cook will take. So it's taking the temperature on the top and it's converting it to time on the bottom. You don't just set your oven to an arbitrary time. Ovens are different. Grills are different. What's it set to? How many times have you opened the oven? How's the air circulating in there? So it's going to convert the temperature to time, and you're going to take it out when it is ready. Okay? It gives you a countdown. You know how much time you have to kick back, spend time with the family. You don't have to stand there and even look at it. You're going to get an alert when it's ready. It's perfect for the oven, the grill, the smoker. A lot of you like air frying. Guess what? You can use Meter in the air fryer. Super simple, super easy, okay? And it is consistent. Monitor that prime rib, chicken, smoked pork shoulder, all in the app. You can do other things. You don't have to constantly open it, okay? It comes with that smart cloud service, so you can have limitless range on your app to receive the signal from your meter. It's just a little thermometer gimmick about that big. You stick it right into the line stream. I've shown it on here to you before. It is not too late to get your gifts, so I want you to head over to Meter, Meater, Meter.com, and shop the most wished for gift this season. Man, if you have a foodie in your life, they are going to love you forever for this. That's meater.com, meater.com. Happy holidays, happy eating, baby. I do love that gimmick, man.
So, see, my question with that whole situation is if Kanye, because I'm not calling you Ye, splash Spawn in his outfit, if he doesn't do what he does, Kyrie doesn't get sucked into that tube, because all Kyrie did was put out a tweet that brought you to something. He didn't say, hey, I watched this and this is what I felt. He just brought your attention to something. But because Kanye had already agitated the situation, he got the, oh, let's throw the other brother in the heat. And he was just like, whoa. And then it became a situation of, hey, man, he's a grown man. Like, I ain't gonna about it. I wasn't talking, oh, he didn't apologize quick enough.
What was the apology, really, that they cited as the reason that he wouldn't apologize?
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do, even if you do put a gun in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Because in his mind, he didn't do anything. Then he realized, fuck, I'm going to get thrown under the bus because I'm already linked with this dude who was wrong. And see, that's my whole problem. You know, it's we talked about Franken. You know, like the situation with Franken. Franken, she's passed out. He's this far from her breast. They take a picture. He gets the same treatment as Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, because he brings the whole boat down. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I mean. So it's just like, I think that's the thing that you've got to, and I would hope that, I guess I'm speaking right now to the person that runs the HR department. Because that's what it comes down to. You know, it's the human resource, and it's almost like it's the human resource department of our fucking lives. That's what we got right now. We got you get up every morning and you don't even see the motherfucker, but there's an HR person with you all day long. Everything you type, because now it used to be you typed it and you got heat. Now they ask you, what you just tweeted seems a little offensive. Are you sure you want to send it? Yes, motherfucker. That's why I typed it the first time. Boom.
The social HR department.
That's it. That's what we got. We got the social HR department. You know, it's not, and you know what? It ain't about woke. It ain't about nothing else. It's just about how can I restrict your freedom? That's what they want to do. They just want to restrict your freedom.
Tiger Woods loses deals with Accenture, AT&T, Gatorade, and Buick. They estimate around $22 million in those 4 contracts. When this is back when in 2009 was that the car accident, and then his wife, the divorce. Now there's an incident, right? No crime, similar to Kyrie Irving, right? No crime,
right?
But the moral violation. So now we've got 4 advertisers.
I think Tiger's. I think that that what Tiger did was, I mean, it was much more black and white of a situation. He was basically serial banging on his wife, who was hot, and that's the problem. If Joe that doesn't get any can't wrap his brain around it, then boy, you're really wrong. I mean, tweeting something about an anti-Semitic film that that you can pull up and watch is one thing. Banging some girls at a Perkins when you could wait and go home to her, that's a kid. Like, if I'm Buick, I'm dropping you
because you can't understand it.
I can't understand that. I mean, that's apples and oranges, man.
That'd be a great statement, right, from the ad department of Buick if they went. And furthermore, we cannot understand with a hot piece of ass at home like this, Tiger, why you would continue this behavior. We're terminating our agreement with Tiger Woods, effective immediately. Thank you. Michael Vick. See, now this was different because this was a crime which resulted in a conviction with the dogfighting ring. So he loses all. He Nike, Reebok, Airtran, Rawlings, Donruss, Upper Deck.
He does time.
Yeah, 21 months, I think. Yeah. So this is so much more cut and dry because he breaks the law and he's convicted and he goes to jail. So, obviously, Reebok wants you to wear their shit because they want you to wear it on the field. Not at yard time in San Quentin.
Yeah. No, there's not a whole lot of coverage.
But now Phelps, the swimmer, the 23 gold medal winning swimmer, the most decorated Olympian in American history. I'll say that again. The most decorated Olympian in American history. 23 gold medals.
Almost like if you took half of them away, you could still say that.
Yeah, you're correct. A picture surfaces of him at a college party smoking a joint. And he lost his sponsorship. He did have some sponsors that stood by. I think Subway was a sponsor that stayed with him. He loses Kellogg's. Later on in 2014, he's arrested for a DUI. Again, different ballgame because you're talking about a crime. But it's hard to believe because we're at a time now where there he is. We're at a time now. That has to be the Post. That has to be the fucking Post.
Unbelievable.
New York Post, no question. Get confirmation from me. But here again, we're at a time where the decriminalization of marijuana is finally relaxing everybody's sensibilities. But it was not that long ago where, yes, you could go to jail for having a joint on you. And, yes, you could lose a multi-million-dollar sponsorship, even though you have 23 gold medals.
Yeah. Think about, like, somebody as talented as Gene Krupa. And when they do the Gene Krupa film, the black and white Gene Krupa film, I mean, it's almost Reefer Madness Part 2. It's like, wow, man. Like, I was just reading an article about this Sinclair dude that's been fighting this battle to legalize cannabis for 60 years. 60 years of his life, this man has fought this battle, this cat named Sinclair, and I'm reading the article right now. And it's just like, again, cannot wrap my brain around it. I've been smoking weed for a very, very long time. And I think that if we were to, as a society right now, if tomorrow you took a control group of 1 million people and they could choose alcohol or they could choose cannabis, and there was different tasks that they had to do, and neither of these million people, neither one had ever had this substance in their body, I would be surprised if more than 10% said, oh yeah, I want to drink this shit that gives me a headache, makes me stupid. 2 people told me I was naked in the bowling alley last night. I want to pick that over the one that made me laugh at a Rotten Tomatoes fucking 35 movie, laugh my ass all the way through it. and thought I watched Godfather 2. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but all this from a guy who asks where the building is when he's already in it.
Well, yeah,
So-
but then again, they haven't smoked my jackknife.
Exactly. That's
You
the
smoked
reason.
my jackknife, fuck you. Dude, you're on the building, King Kong. Oh, thank you. I got to give a shout out to Hyman, man. We got the Metro Awards came out in Detroit, and the Jackknife got strongest weed. We got the award for strongest weed. We got several awards for the Jackknife of it being a very high quality cannabis. And I wasn't going to put my name on any. I won't put my name on anything that I don't believe highly in. And these guys are first class, top notch. And when I had this, this, I don't know what you call it, tragedy in my life. I guess that's what it would be.
Sure.
Like they were there as friends. And I'll get upset, but they're good fuckers.
How's the how are the sales? Are you ready to re-up or what?
I know it's doing well. I mean, I know they had another drop. We got some more products going. I was on my way up there. I was going to do some stuff up there, and then it just, this whole situation happened, and I'm just kind of chilling. I'm just, I sometimes don't get on Instagram for days at a time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times they'll send me something to post in my story, and I just don't see it because I'm just,
Understood.
Living in Margaritaville, baby. And that's another thing too. Like, I was really surprised because I really thought that my wife and I aren't afraid to have a glass of wine, and I take the recycle out now, and I'm like, what? This is 7 days worth, and there's 8 bottles of wine in this thing, and we're both drinking. So I think what happened was and we talked about it, but subconsciously, we both kind of went like, let's not get into that COVID thing. Because during COVID, man, it was real easy to go from one bottle to, it is 8 o'clock and we can't go anywhere tomorrow.
You told me you needed like a flatbed to get the recycling out during
Jesus.
COVID.
I used to put a fucking weightlifting belt on and chalk up. I had to go on a fucking cycle just to be able to... I had to
take the barrel out to the street.
I had to go on the black market and find some trend just so I could pick my recycle up. How about the whole Joe Rogan? So, does anybody know who the Lizard Man is? Does anybody? Can we pull up the Lizard Man? This is a whole controversy that's going on right now. It would be this jack dude with a beard.
And he is a what?
He sells supplements, and it's like he makes like $100 million a year. There he is. So this is the cat, and he's been telling everyone that he's absolutely steroid free. All right.
Okay.
And his supplement company has went through the roof. So Rogan has been on him, and he jumped on Conor McGregor. Yeah, he jumped on Conor McGregor, saying McGregor, since he isn't fighting, is on a cycle. And then McGregor came back and threw up a picture of Rogan, and there's a picture of Rogan at 25 and a picture of Rogan at 55, and Rogan's pretty damn jacked for 55 years old. And now Rogan's latest thing is he's came out after Dwayne, The Rock, saying that The Rock is saying that he doesn't use PEDs, and Rogan is telling that it's bullshit, you're on PEDs. And So I just want to make this as my point, and this is only my point, and it's my opinion. Performance enhancing drugs are just that. They enhance your performance. Testosterone replacement therapy brings you back to the hormonal levels that you were in your mid-30s. I am on testosterone replacement therapy. If you take my blood, my testosterone level will probably be, depending on how far from my injection, between 780 and 1,000, somewhere in between there. Sweet spot is about 850 for me. And then I also have my free testosterone will be probably around 18. I have to take an esterol because if not, my esterol will go through the roof, so I have to take an anti-estrogen. But I'm not, I weigh the same every fucking day. I'm not in no way stronger. I'm no way faster. It's nothing to do with performance, except my blood lipid panel is amazing for my age, especially for my genetic predisposition. My HDL, which is your good cholesterol, last time was 42, nothing to brag about, but it's above 40. My LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, is 55. Total cholesterol was less than 100. Triglycerides was less than 66. C-reactive protein, which is the inflammation that's throughout your body and into your heart and your veins and everything else, was like 0.7. I'm like beyond low risk, but all of those things only happened after I started to do testosterone replacement. And yes, I am leaner than I was, but I'm nowhere like I was when I was taking steroids, when I was trying to fucking look like Master Blaster Steel.
So to your point, we can't lump in the same bag. When we say performance-enhancing drugs, that's a big bag. And what you're saying is there are degrees that we have to identify the different items that we're talking about.
Because I know Dwayne is, if Dwayne is, and he's 50. So if Dwayne's taking anything, it's done by a doctor, and it's not done to go, wow, Dwayne, he's getting either cypionate or anthate. It depends. Cypionate is closer to your regular testosterone, like your natural testosterone, but the ananthate ester lasts longer. So the peak between, like, I take a shot every Thursday. So today, I didn't train today because I had back, and it was just like, man, I take my injection tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, Dwayne looks great, but he doesn't look.
You're checking his feet, Steve? What was it?
Well, I mean, pull up Nick Walker. Pull up bodybuilder Nick Walker. He's getting ready for the Olympia. The Olympia is next weekend. Yeah. Could you get one of his quads? That's him. Like, there's probably a picture somewhere in there where he's like in like bulk mode when he's probably, yeah. I mean, that's a big difference between that physique, those legs, that amount of muscle mass, than what Dwayne has on him. So
it just looks so uncomfortable. Those bodybuilder folks with like 0% body fat, and it's just like.
But it's such a I've done a couple of contests, and I got ready for the Magic Mike, and it's like it's such a. Those guys that look so amazing at 2% body fat, and they look like an anatomy chart. that's the most unhealthy they'll ever be in their life is in that state. I mean, but that's the epitome of what, you're supposed to look like underneath the physique criteria. But somebody like Dwayne is, number one, he's also very disciplined, but he's also very wealthy. So I don't think that Dwayne is getting up in the morning and as he gets the crust out of his eyes at 4 a.m., is deciding if he's going to scramble egg whites. I mean, he gets up, takes an ice cold shower, goes down, probably does some empty, probably 20 minutes of cardio with nothing in his stomach except coffee, and then has his pre-workout and whatever, and goes in there, and he's got that Iron Paradise right next to his house. Goes in there, trains a body part. I watch him. He doesn't train super, super heavy, but strict supersets, constant tension on the muscles, knows what he's doing. In his own zone, gets out of there, and the rest of his day, he's eating optimally. He's not missing meals. He's not missing macros, micros. And it's just like, to look the way he does all the time, instead of fucking bashing somebody, just tip your hat to their discipline. Like it just.
This is Rogan that you're referring to, who took issue with.
Well, Rogan's kind of jumping on everybody, and it's just like, geez, like I like Rogan, but fuck, dude, like you're gonna tell me, man, that you don't take nothing?
Well, part of, and you would know this, and you didn't mention it with Dwayne, but part of any successful workout regimen is a good night's sleep. And science tells us the best way to achieve that and maintain
beautiful
consistent deep sleep is by lowering the core body temperature. And temperature-controlled sleep repairs muscle after a hard day's work, workouts, also improves cognitive function, so you can start your day feeling sharp and alert. I don't sleep great, but I didn't sleep great, but I do now. And it's because Sleep Me, which is the new home for ChiliSleep, okay? We're bringing you the same great sleep that ChiliSleep offered, but under a new name, Sleep Me. Sleep Me makes the coldest, most comfortable sleep systems available. They create the environment that meets the body's natural need for lower core temperatures, promoting deeper, restorative sleep. Let me just tell you how this works, okay? Because I have it on my mattress. You slide it out. It's just like a typical mattress topper that you would see. It goes under your sheet, slides right under, but it connects to a water system, which I slide under the bed, and the tubes go up and connect. Now, what I can do on my app is set the temperature I want my bed to achieve. And the great thing is, it's not just like an on-off type thing. I'm laying on it, so I'm creating heat. But this smart device here is going to adjust the amount of cold water that's sent through this so that I achieve that temperature, okay? Because I'm interfering with that temperature. If it was 70 degrees before I laid on it, certainly not 70 degrees when my hot, fat body is on it. So it's going to adjust. This thing is amazing, okay? The mattress pads keep your bed the perfect temperature. You can even go up. You can go hotter with it. Kev talked about doing that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Help his muscles after the workout. Listen, they've also just launched the new Dock Pro sleep system, okay? It has 2 times more cold power than the other models. It's whisper quiet, has a tubeless mattress pad design that allows for 5 times more cooling effect. Pair it with the new Sleep.me app for enhanced device control and sleep scheduling. I use this. My wife uses it. It's great. Head over to sleep.me/Kevin to learn more and save. Here's that magic number again, Kev. 25% off the purchase of any new Dock Pro, Cube, or Uller sleep system. The offer's available exclusively for Kliq This, the Kevin Nash Podcast listeners, okay, and only for a limited time. That's sleep.me, sleep.me/Kevin to take advantage of our exclusive discounts and wake up refreshed every day. Let's get back to some of what we were talking about here with the the contracts, the morality clause. I had a few more
we,
names.
we did take a little bit of a left turn there.
And this is what we do, baby. This is what we do. I didn't guardrail you. I let you go.
Not bad.
We took the exit you wanted to take. Magic Johnson lost KFC, Target, and Converse when he announced he was HIV positive. Can you imagine that in this day and age? I mean, it was 1991, so it was a different world, everybody. But it was. Many corporate sponsors pledged to stand by him initially when he made the announcement. Publicly, they said they would. So let me clarify. But behind closed doors, however, several companies began quietly distancing themselves from the basketball legend. Some, like Target and Kentucky Fried Chicken, just simply failed to renew the contract when it expired. So they didn't bail, they just didn't renew. They said their decisions had nothing to do with the illness. Converse and Pepsi pledged to stay with him, although Magic actually walked away from Converse shortly thereafter. The stigma of AIDS. 80s to early 90s. It probably started changing in the mid-90s, I would say. A little bit more of a compassionate view.
Cocktail, kind of, once they got the cocktail, where people weren't, but that era, like, when Hanks portrays in Philadelphia and, Dallas Buyers Club.
That was
my first cousin, Michael, died of AIDS, like, before it was, like, even really known what it was.
Yeah,
he died of AIDS.
I did the movie Philadelphia. It was my first film. And I was, Jesus, what the hell was I? 20, maybe, right? So I go down, a couple of days' work, 2 days' work in South Philly. And in one of the scenes, it was it's a party scene, and it's a costume party in their place. You can find me in there. I'm in a sailor outfit. And on the set, I'm talking to a young lady, right? And just spending some time on the set, as you know, and maybe hit a little craft service, have a little lunch with. So just talking to her, cute, young Spanish thing. And in the course of talking to her, after, like, it might have even been the second day or late in the first day, we get around to career talk. And she's like, yeah, oh, she didn't tell me where she worked first. I asked how many other things she'd done. She was like, oh, nothing. I work at a bank, down the street. I was like, do you know Jonathan? Demi, the director? I'm like, do you know Jonathan? How'd you get involved? She's like, oh, well, no, he wanted a lot of people, in the community living with AIDS to be in the film. And young Sean had to grow up right there and go, so this is not the path I'm on anymore in talking to my new friend. She's got to be a person now, all of a sudden. And I say that critical of myself, not me today, but certainly me then as a 20-year-old actor, and then I realized that so many of the people that I was in the film with, he had put in there, because they were in the closing chapters of their lives because of this illness.
Yeah, that was a death sentence back then.
Yeah, it was. I think about her too, and I want to, like, obviously I never talked to her again or anything, but not that day. Not when I found out. Yeah, fuck you later. After the film, I never talked to her. But that was my first, like, real world experience with having to understand what AIDS was and grow up.
It was horrific. I mean, that was a horrific time in our country, the world. I mean, there still in South Africa, like God, I can't remember what the name of that town is. It starts with a D, Darmore or something like that. But they've got a giant red ribbon, and they say in that city, It's yes, Darfur. It's in between, like, I think Port Elizabeth and Cape Town. It's there used to be that coastal run that we used to do down there, and they say that when you if you're sitting on a bus with a person on each side of you, and you don't have AIDS, one of the other two do, and it's there. Like when I left to go to, there was a Virgin Atlantic, isn't that what Branson owns?
Yeah.
So remember what they used to have, like fitness centers, like Virgin Atlantic had fitness centers like throughout the world, and they had one in Darfur, and I was staying at the Hilton, and I was on an independent trip, and the rest of the guys were staying in this shithole by the water, and I walked in, and it was like the cockroaches were in my, like opening my bag when I said, no, I'm not staying here. So I went and stayed. I said, I'm not asking you to go out of pocket. I said, I'm going to go down and stay at the Hilton. So I stayed down at the Hilton, and the Hilton was walking distance from this gym. So I'm leaving in the morning. There's a black gentleman that's the concierge, and he says, with that South African accent, where you going, man? I said, I was just going to go to the Virgin Atlantic gym. And he said, he told me how to say good morning in Zulu. He says, you're going to need that. He said, if anybody stands in your path and just stares at you, just say this, and it'll be good morning in Zulu, and it'll be kind of because, you got to really, this is right after apartheid.
Yeah.
So, and I got that long blonde hair. It's just
yeah.
Here
even comes the enemy.
Yeah, even though I'm 340, it doesn't matter. Just like, so I walk into the gym, and remember the old Merrill Lynch commercials, and Merrill Lynch said, and then everybody, it'd be like the whole room would stop.
E.F. Hutton. E.F. Hutton.
Oh, yeah, E.F. Hutton. That was
when
what
E.F.
it was.
Hutton talks,
when
people
E.F.
will listen.
And everybody go. So I walk into this gym, and it's packed. I'm the only white boy in there, and they're just looking at me, and it's hotter than hell in this gym. And there's a line of probably 6 people on each of the drinking fountains. And I got to get some water in me just to walk over. So the line goes, and now it's my turn to get a drink. And I just bent down because I want to get a drink. I turned the water gimmick, and it's one of those ones that had that white plastic. It was a refrigerated, water fountain, but it had like OBJ. I remember they had one in the Detroit library by my house. We used to ride our bikes like an extra 3 miles because that fucker was so cold. But anyway, when I bent down and took that drink of water and didn't just drank right after them, and then just stood up, it was almost just like, oh. And then maybe 5 minutes later, a guy walked up. He says, "You're that wrestler guy, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And we just like, okay, not an enemy. And I remember going out afterwards and taking a picture with everybody in the gym on these steps. And I walked back, and the guy said, "How did it go?" And I said, "It was great. I had a great workout." And I went back the next day and caught a workout before we went to the next town. But it was just like one of those things where I was, I just, to me, it was just like another day in another town. It was like being no different when you play basketball. There's a lot of times, man, you walk into a rec center, there ain't no white boys in there,
right?
But it's just like if you want to play and you want to play against the best, man, you're gonna go where the competition is, and you might sit there for 5 runs and nobody pick you, and you might go home. But man, I kept coming back. And sooner or later, man, when it gets to be about 6 o'clock and everybody else has kind of ran out, and all of a sudden, man, it's scrub time. It's like you get a couple runs in, and before you know it, man, you get in there on a Saturday, get a run, get 3-4 runs where you guys win and sit out there and drink your. We didn't have make 40 ounces back then. We just had quarts. They didn't have 40 ounces. They just had quarts back then. But smoke a couple penners and shit, man, life was sweet.
What'd that do for your game? Smoking a couple of penners.
Oh, man, made that motherfucking Grover Washington 8-track sound sweet.
Just the two of us?
No, Grover. I used to. One of my favorites was Grover Washington had an album called Skylarkin, and it's just a jazz album. But man, I had it on 8-track, and I used to just kill it. I used to kill that thing. But yeah.
Warren Sapp loses a Bud Light and Zipa, which is a anti-snoring mouthpiece. When he's fired by the NFL Network after being arrested in a prostitution sting on Super Bowl weekend, 2015. So soon after that, the Hall of Famers dropped by corporate sponsors, including Bud Light and Zipa. The charges against him are later dropped after he completes a prostitution solicitation counseling program. What does that consist of?
Yeah, I'd like to see that pamphlet.
Yeah. And the classes. A program. So it's multiple sessions.
That's just like those DUI things, man. That's just one more way for them to get, a
couple of bucks.
Yeah, get some cash out of you. Come on, there's no fucking you know what you mean. The only difference between the prostitution game when you first realize it exists is it's streetwalkers, and then as you get older you realize it's like high price. Then it becomes like the Charlie Sheen when they're like, "Gee, Charlie, I can't believe that a guy like you has to pay for a piece of ass." And he says, "No, I'm not paying for a piece of ass. I'm paying for the right to tell him to get the fuck out of my house." And
the agreement, you're paying for the agreement.
Yeah. What's the difference in going out to dinner and drinking a couple bottles of Cristal, followed off with an Opus,
Opus X, the Fuente.
Fucking throwing a Mick Ultra down her throat and hitting it in the hotel room and giving her $1,500 to count out as she puts her shoe on, preferably a unhooved foot.
And Carlin said, in considering the illegal nature of prostitution, selling's legal, fucking's legal. Why isn't selling fucking legal?
Right.
Different world.
Carlin, yeah, this is, I don't know.
Listen, not everyone uses nicotine, but if you do, you're going to want to listen up here. So get ready. This is an ad for Lucy Breakers, okay? If you're one of the millions of adults who use nicotine, you know that not all products are the same. William Regal is certainly not the same as us on this show. But one product stands above the rest, everybody. Lucy Breakers. They're the only nicotine pouch that give you a blast of flavor from the first moment to the last. Each pouch contains a capsule that you break open to release a rush of flavor that doesn't fade away like those other pouches. The ones that rhyme with thin. They come in so many flavors: mint, berry, citrus, mango, even espresso for you coffee drinkers. And if you don't have to go to the gas station or the corner store for this, okay? Just order online and they'll be shipped straight to your door. Every order gets free shipping. So, and you know what? If you subscribe, you're going to save 15% and you'll never run out. So whether you use nicotine while working, creating, playing, Lucy Breakers are the intelligent choice. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Get $10 off your first order when you use our promo code NASH at checkout. Shipping always free. That's lucy.co, C-O, promo code NASH, and receive 10% off and free shipping. Visit lucy.co for more details, and we thank Lucy for sponsoring this segment. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. This product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Ask Nash. Hashtag Ask Nash. We give you access to Nash. Now, listen, I want to say something here. Rumor has it, I'm hearing, word on the street, if you're joining ADFREESHOWS.com, which we are a part of. We kicked it off with a live watch along last week, but we will be doing premium programming every month for you guys, for members of ADFREESHOWS.com. One of the cool things that you're now going to get on ADFREESHOWS.com, you get to sit in on the recording of this show. So you'll get to watch the stream. You'll see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. You may see some of our pre-shoot meeting or our post-shoot roundup. So go to adfreeshows.com. That stuff is all coming very, very soon. Peter D., Kevin, is asking you, now everyone says the Kliq held them back from greatness. Most of it is made up BS. But did the Kliq intentionally hold anyone back? Was there any wrestler who someone in the Kliq said, no, I'm not going to work with that guy?
Never.
Wow.
I mean, I think that maybe Scott got pissed off at Shane Douglas. I think Shane Douglas got fucked. I think he got fucked by the Kliq, or members of the Kliq. That's one person I think, but I think that they fucked Shane coming in the door with that lame gimmick.
Oh, the Dean.
Yeah, that was lame.
I was talking to Sean Waltman about this very thing last week, about Shane's really short run there and just it not working out. And a funny story from the book Todd is God, which will be on sale in July. Of course, he was the first ECW champion, and so he goes to WWE. And Todd has to call JJ to book somebody. I don't know. And he just happens to say, hey, how's my buddy Shane doing up there? And JJ goes, you want him back? He goes, no, I'm just asking. He's like, yeah, no, I heard you. Do you want him back? And that was it. Shane was back in ECW in 6 months. He never asked JJ why they were so enthused to facilitate his exit.
It was just we had to he came in like after the crew had already been together for like 18 months. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when Blue Oyster Cult had 5 lead guitarists. Like we really didn't need a 5th guitarist. So it was like, you know, it's just a bad time to break in.
Right. Ryan Purvis, I'm curious as to your various entrance themes. Did you have any input into any of them? And either way, what's that process like?
We had a little bit on the Wolfpack. Jimmy Hart got some guys to do the Wolfpack. That was the only one that I had any. I mean, the rest of that shit was. I've already said that they had the start up the diesel truck was the original. I mean, they like over and over. That was my first entrance. I don't think that how I even could. Between Oz and that entrance, how I'm a 2-time Hall of Famer and actually have a podcast that people like would listen to is just beyond me. But
listen, some people with much cooler entrances do not have those things. So
yeah, but
one of those deals.
When it comes to entrances, I got the fucking sausage on that most of the time.
Uncaged Rage. Kevin, what's the most you'd pay to see a concert? I'm asking because Metallica is offering a $7,000 ticket where you can bring 8 friends to watch on a platform and get a cooler of drinks. If this isn't overkill, I don't know what is. So there's the ad. It's the 7272. With this, fans receive a private viewing platform for up to 8 people, a cooler loaded with soft drinks and beer.
They could pay me $72.72 and I wouldn't go.
Because you're not a Metallica fan, or you just
not at all.
Oh, really?
None.
Oh, I'm going to break you of that. I'm gonna get you into Metallica.
Yeah, right. 63 years old. He's just all of a sudden, I'm gonna stop.
Roll over, Fido.
Yeah. All of a sudden, tomorrow I'll be vegan.
Rocky Monroe. From what I've heard, Ricky Morton is not at all a fan of you and your work. Is there bad history between you two?
Obviously, he doesn't know our history because Ricky and I pulled like a super great work a few years back, and he cut a promo and I cut one back, and we went down to in Virginia and had this pay-per-view. I think we drew 10,000 people for an independent show, Morton versus Nash, and I tore the turnbuckle down and busted his head open, and then I walked out and I got counted out, and I mean, Ricky and I have always been friends, and
I don't know.
It was
Rocky, let us know. Well, let us know.
It was a great work. No, every time I see Ricky, Ricky has nothing but love for me in his back. It's just that you got probably caught a piece of, or maybe saw the angle that we shot.
Oh, maybe. Okay, so you were working. That's all.
Yeah, it worked because 10,000 people came to a shit show to watch me and Ricky Morton work.
Rocky Monroe might have been one of them. David Van Bogelen. Kevin, I love the Sheiky stories from the road. Have you any Kevin Sullivan stories you can share? Do you have a favorite Sullivan story? I'll give you my favorite Sullivan story while you think of yours.
I think my favorite,
or you can give me yours.
When I was just they made me Oz, and I was just sitting there. We were smoking a joint, and we were at a Holiday Inn. And this is back when the Holiday Inn was still a nice, it was a nicer stay, but they still, if you opened the door, you were outside. They were Holiday Inn motor lodges at that point.
Oh, the doors would open to the.
And he was still married to Nancy, so Nancy was. I was actually in their room, and we were smoking some pot, and me and Sullivan. Sullivan loves to train, so we had trained chess that day, and we both got stoned, and we're sitting in at the table with like the 3 or 4 chairs by the window before the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sitting there, and Sullivan smoking the joint. And he's sitting over there. He goes, Nash, fill my upper chest, man. It's rock hard. So I tap on his chest. Fuck yeah. He goes, fuck it, man. We killed it today, man. I said, he hands me the joint. And I said, Kev, I don't get it, man. I just don't get the Oz gimmick, man. Brother, take the fucking money. I mean, that was his answer. Just take the fucking money. It's like, okay, Humphrey, that's my weed. How about? But I love him to death, man. He's one of my all-time favorite human beings on the planet.
He is one of my favorite guys in the business to spend time with. The present company excluded, of course. But
thank you.
He really is, man. And
he's such a great guy.
I have so many funny stories of Sullivan. There was one. He was sitting signing at a convention, and he was either at our table or right next to our table because Anthony, my partner in kayfabe, was sitting next to him, and the long line to see somebody passes down in front of our table, right? So it's going that way. Some guy drops something, some short, squat, portly gentleman with a belt drops something, and he bends over to pick it up. Now, when he goes forward, the sweats come down, and the ass is just out. So we're sitting there talking with Sullivan. It's one of those things that just happens in front of the table. We're all talking. It happens. Disbelief. Okay, the line starts moving. Sullivan's like, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "The whole ass was out. The whole ass. I couldn't believe it." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." We're laughing, whatever. Like, seriously, 30 seconds goes by. We're moving DVDs up. He's like, I'm telling you, it was the whole ass came out. See, we couldn't get off the whole ass.
Dude, we're in Philadelphia. We're going to go to Gino's to get us a
steak, cheesesteak.
Yeah, cheesesteak. So we're in a white limo. Just me and Sullivan. And I forget whether he was. He wasn't a mark, but he was. I mean, he was a mark, but he was like it was his limo, and he had hash, and so we were smoking out of a pipe. So we had the top of the limo, and we're smoking, and we send the limo driver to go get the cheese sticks. We got a cooler of beer in the back. We're just sitting there. And it's a Lincoln town car limo, so we're listening to tunes, and some little fucking prick outside by the car just walks by and snaps the antenna off.
Wow!
It comes out of the back because they were powered. So and Sullivan is like sitting on that side window, like looking at this kid. And before I can even know what's going on, Sullivan is through the door and pounding this guy.
Wow.
So now there's people around there, and this guy's with some guys. So one of them is on Sullivan's back, but they're like right in front of the door right there. So I got to go out this door that I'm next to and come around the car. So the first guy he sees me coming. He kind of turns. And I just catch him, boom. And next guy, he didn't see me coming. I punch him kind of in the base of the skull and in the neck. And then now Sullivan sees that I'm there. So the guy that's bent over in the curb, I kick him in the ribs. And this guy who's standing there watching it, he drops his beer bottle, and it's behind Sullivan. And Sullivan turns around and goes, "Oh, gonna cut me with a bottle, eh?" And just walks over to the guy with cowboy boots on and field goal kicks him in the groin like Richard Keel took it from Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy. So finally we get in the car, we get out of there, and as we're leaving in the limo, here they come, man. Blue lights are coming. And back in the day, I don't know what they are now, but Philly had one light on the top of their car back then. And we ended up walking, and then this kid, one of the guys that I hit was put a lawsuit out after me. So I dodged him, and finally I was working for Vince, and the guy said he was crippled and he couldn't do anything, and they put McDevitt on the case. And I'm not kidding you, in a month's time, McDevitt had a picture of, remember the old days when you used to do like a pyramid? You have like 8 guys and 7 guys, 6 guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this guy's the base on this pyramid. It's like 12 across. So it's like, 9 guys high, 10 guys high. And he's on the bottom middle taking all this weight, and he's crippled. And it's got their names, and it was just like, it had vanished. And I've been dodging. Every time I went to Philadelphia, man, I'd either get there 6 hours early or be late. Whatever building it was in Philly we were at, because I knew that guy was going to try to serve me.
Oh, right.
But that was thanks to Sullivan going. It was like that. It looked like that Tasmanian. Ever since that day, I called him the Tasmanian Devil. I'm just like, you are the Tasmanian Devil.
It's perfect.
Man.
That's the perfect.
You're just the Tasmanian Devil.
Oh, well, as I sit here, Kevin, at this advanced hour, I realize, unlike yourself, that I have not punched anyone in the base of the skull and the neck in a long time, nor have I.
Nor have I.
Well, let's get back to it, huh? Let me remind all of our listeners who joined us that this is a production of Butch and Sundance Media, produced in association with Podcast Heat. Producer Steve Kaufman. Graphics by Dominic D'Angelo. Title sequence and audio edit by Wesley Burleson. Theme song by Dale Oliver. Technical research by Tristen Nash. Created by Tristen Nash, Kevin Nash, and Sean Oliver. Copyright 2022. Butch and Sundance Media. What do you think, Kev? You got another one in you?
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing these until I'm broke.